What's up everybody, D-Man back. Welcome to a brand new video, and today we're going to be doing another Godzilla vs Kong figure unboxing. It's time, destiny's fulfilled, it's time to finish off Playmates' original set of Godzilla vs Kong figures. I freaking finally got my hands on a Kong with the fighter jet. This is the figure that evaded me for so long, I thought it didn't come out. I didn't even know they released it because I could not find it, and I finally got it. Yeah, it took me maybe 3 years to do it, but I got it, and so now let's open him up and be like, well, there he is. Let's do that then. I can't believe how long it took me to get this guy. It was so hard to find. I went to Walmart every single day when Godzilla vs Kong came out, and I never came across him. I continued to check Walmarts frequently. I have not gone into a Walmart without checking the toy aisle looking for these since the movie came out, and I finally got to the point where I was like, whatever. I want to complete it just because I'm stubborn. I wanted to complete the mission. So I ordered it off of eBay so I could finally just get the figure out and talk about it all these years later, now that nobody cares, but I just wanted to complete it for myself, just so I did it, just to say it's done. The mission is over. Kong with the fighter jet. Pretty nostalgic packaging. You got the Godzilla vs Kong iconic banner that never went away and was always there. There's the banner. Although this packaging kind of grew on me at the time, the neon blue city would have been a much better backdrop. I'm not into the orange. I just don't think it looked very great on the figure boxes, especially now that I see the much better Godzilla x Kong the New Empire packaging. So hindsight changes our opinions on stuff. Kong is standing with the fighter jet. There's all of the Playmates Godzilla vs Kong line, and you know what? I have them all! The back of the box reads, feel the bone-crushing strength of Kong as he enters the ultimate battle royale against Godzilla, his ancient rival, wielding a fighter jet as a supersonic projectile weapon. Kind of a random deep cut to go with literally one thing Kong does in the movie where he hucks a fighter jet at Godzilla and be like, let's make a toy of that. Here's the fighter jet. Proportionally, it's a little too large for Kong, and that's fine. This makes for probably a better toy to play with. You could fly it around and shoot things with it. It's actually a pretty decently modeled sculpt. I have a feeling Playmates probably reused this from a different toy line, but hey, it looks generally pretty solid. You've got all the missiles on the bottom. There is a peg hole in it so you can plug it into something and have it standing on a floating stand. The figure did not come with one of those, so that makes me think that it is a reissue, and then it's got some interesting markings up on the top. It's not as cool or appropriate for the films as the Heave was. This is still a pretty neat little toy. As for Kong himself, we'll keep this review nice and brief because I've basically reviewed this figure multiple times over the years. He comes with the battle damage piece on his arm. I don't get the point of those. I don't think they look very good. It's got these weird little muscle textures in it. Here's the actual battle damage piece, and let's see how this one goes on. Should be pretty standard and easy. The battle damage piece is a rubber piece that you plug into a plastic base. The Kong ones blend in much better than the Godzilla ones do, although on camera it really kind of blends it away. In real life you can still see it very obviously though. As for Kong, he's a pretty decent sculpt. This is the exact same Kong sculpt as all of the other Kong figures. Pretty good body. I like the fur patterning and texturing throughout. They've done a good job with that, specifically on the back. That really highlights Kong's muscle texture and muscle patterning. Kong's arms are very muscular as well. I like that they have these divots in, and it really builds around his form very nicely. The fur is also done well. There's these bulkier parts on the shoulders. I like that it's got all these textures all throughout. I'm not quite sure why it is. All of the Kong toys from Godzilla vs Kong from Playmates have rubber arms and rubber legs. This one in particular is the only one where the arms feel rubbery though, just at the touch. Normally you kind of have to squeeze them and then you can tell it's a bit of a more rubbery plastic, but this one like very much so have that feel to them. Other than that, they're the exact same. The chest looks nice, the scars are nicely added onto it, but Kong's skin doesn't blend down into the belly as well, just kind of disappears unlike in the movie. I do like that they've added abs and a belly button for Kong. That's nice. The face is what makes this guy a little different. This Kong has a different face than the other Kongs. This Kong has a different face than the Kong with the axe, and this is the Kong that they've done multiple re-releases of since. This is also the Kong face that they used for the sculpt for the large toy that they did, which would be that guy in there, the big one. I very much prefer this face. I think it looks a lot better than the other Kong face with the roaring mouth. This one looks a lot more like the MonsterVerse Kong. As for the paint job, it's a pretty standard Playmates Kong paint job. It's this dullish brownish gray paint. He's got these darker parts. The scars are a lighter highlight which look nice. There's parts on the hands and throughout the body where they've got these minor little little moments where you've got darker shadows or textures to it. The feet have painted toes, which look nice. The bottoms of the feet are painted darker. The hands are obviously painted darker as well, as is the face and the chest. Kong's eyes are painted orange with the eyes looking forward. This Kong's eyes are looking in the right direction, which is pretty nice. And then the teeth are white, which looks really good. As for the articulation, that's where these Godzilla vs. Kong figures really shined and really blew me away initially. They've got lots of articulation. He's got a great range of motion, and you can get him into lots of poses and make him do lots of things. This is just a great toy for children. I believe there are 11 points of articulation on this figure, unless you count double joints, in which you could count up to 17, depending on which ones are double jointed and not. Like, this is also a double joint at the elbow, but basically, you've got a joint at the knee, you've got a joint at the leg, you've got a joint at the shoulder, you've got a joint at the elbow, you've got a joint at the hand, and then the neck can rotate. One thing that I've never really loved about these Kongs is the way that the shoulders are so broad that the neck can't look side to side and can only swivel like this and rotate upside down. That's about it. Other than that though, pretty solid figure, lots of ability to play with, and there he is holding the fighter jet. It's a little awkward in his hand just because he can't really hold it the way he does in the movie, because the fighter jet is actually so large that this is about the best he's got. He could hold it like this and throw it this way. That's about what he does in the film. It's not the coolest accessory for a Kong toy. The axe is far cooler, but it's fine. The different face would have probably sold me on the idea of this toy back in the day. Here is, of course, the other Playmates release that released at the exact same time. Almost the same exact figure. The only real differences are the axe accessory and the face. And I can't really say these figures justify their existence apart from one another, although I'm sure back in the day I probably would have been nicer to them just because this Kong has so much better of a face than the one with the axe that I would have wanted this Kong to exist on the grounds that its face is so much better, and then if he's got a fighter jet, that's kind of incidental. At least he came with a different accessory and not just the axe again. So there they are together. They're obviously the same toy, just with different faces. Having them side by side, even on camera, I still really like the closed mouth face even better than the one with the open mouth. As I said, Playmates has re-released this figure a number of times. Here's the Antarctic Kong with all the snow on him. When I reviewed this toy initially, I gave it a pass because it had a different face, and I was like, that's really cool that they changed the face and then added the snow on him. Now, I really don't think this Antarctic Kong justifies his existence at all, considering he doesn't really have any accessories, and he is simply a repaint of the Kong with the fighter jet, which makes it so that it just really isn't worth it. The only thing that's different is that he's got a better scar paint job on his chest, and then the white paint all over him for the snow. This was also the base Kong for the Hong Kong Neon Kong with the axe, so they did give this Kong an axe in a different release, so there's that boy. And again, they're the same toy, the same figure. The original is the superior one. I really disliked these neon ones. Just because I thought it was interesting, here's Kong standing up against his modern counterpart. This is Kong from Godzilla Kong New Empire with his beast glove, and there they are together. I still prefer the Godzilla X Kong figures. I think that they have improved overall. They're just overall better toys. You can go check out my review of this guy for that. And then finally, I now have a normal Kong and a normal Godzilla that could duke it out Godzilla vs. Kong style. Obviously, these guys are going to look pretty solid next to each other. This is really the set that should have been sold together, because then you could have had a better justification for selling the Godzilla with the heat ray and the Kong with the axe separately. Either way, there they are together. Godzilla and Kong finally have their own rivals. Now on the Godzilla vs. Kong shelf in the background, these two finally have proper rivals. I actually really liked these Godzilla vs. Kong toys back in the day, and I still do. I still think that they're pretty solid and they hold up pretty well. I'd give the Kong with the fighter jet, on the grounds of it being its own figure, probably an 8 out of 10. I think it's a pretty solid King Kong toy, and there's not a ton else I would do with it. It's just in context that there is another version of this with a different face and the axe. It really doesn't justify its existence, and it really doesn't stand on its own 2 feet very well. But removed from that, it's a pretty solid toy. Mostly, I'm just glad that I finally have completed the original Godzilla vs. Kong toy set, and it's done. Now I don't have to worry about it ever again. Thank you guys so much for watching. Do you have this figure? If you were able to get this one, what do you think of it? Comment down below and let me know. Thank you guys so much for watching. I want to give a huge thank you to my patrons over on Patreon. It is through the support of the Patreon that I'm able to continue making videos like this for you guys, and that I'm able to do reviews for toys like this in the first place. If you want to support the Patreon, you can use the link in the description below, where you can get early access to content, access to the Discord community, and more. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys next time for the next one. D-Man out.